There is a perfect example of motherhood out there. We've all felt its presence. It lingers in our social media feed, in the products we buy, the answers to the questions we research. Even though we know it's not real, we feel it spotlight what we could be doing better.
Join two best friends as they step off the stage of motherhood and go behind the scenes with moms from different walks of life.
The Momcult Podcast. Real moms, real talk, real tired. Hello ladies.
Hello.
Welcome to the Momcult Podcast. Our guest today is one of my oldest friends. We met working together at the infamous Loveless Cafe.
Wow.
She had a musical theater degree, so naturally we became fast friends. She's held a significant place in my life. I think it's safe to say she became part of my extended family before she moved back to LA, where she got married, had all three of her girls, and then she moved back to Nashville a couple years ago after losing her husband to brain cancer back in 2019. She now owns and works at his publishing company, along with some nonprofit work, and of course has been holding down the fort at home like a champ. So welcome to my dear friend who's probably mad at me for how little we see each other. And I'm sorry.
It's actually true. I'm so glad you said that out loud.
Which is what brings us here today.
Welcome, yes. Jessie Busbee.
Yay. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here.
Check-in, Jessie. How's your week? How's your day?
My day is good. I'm tired, but as I said earlier, I went to the doctor this morning, which was like just one of those things in life. It's like, how do you make time for yourself and the things that actually need to happen? And I just feel like my list is so long right now. But I made the appointment yesterday. They happened to have an appointment available.
That is lucky.
And saw just an amazing, inspiring nurse practitioner. It was just wanted to talk about actually my antidepressant situation. I got on an antidepressant when my youngest Imogen was about 6 months old. I was going through a really rough time in my marriage and also, just some natural postpartum stuff and decided to try that avenue. And
did you notice a difference?
Yeah, I did. It just kind of leveled out, I would say, my sadness. It leveled out my sadness. It kind of just helped bring that more to a level that
is like tangible, that you can feel like you can do something about.
Just good in the morning. And, because you just, especially when your kiddos are young, and I actually breastfed her until she was almost 3.
Oh, God.
Wow. Shout out.
As you know, you give and you give and you give and you give. And I would say that I definitely don't regret how we did things when my kids were young. Like, I know it was the right choice for me and the girls and our, and Buzz and just our family entity. But it sucks the life out of you,
Yes,
literally and figuratively.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was a helpful thing. And then today, I have 2 pills left, and it was just like, okay, if I don't do this for myself, like I'm going to crash, and it could really potentially be bad.
Yeah.
For all of us.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like we're required to stay on top of taking care of ourselves.
Right.
Because we know what the outcome is going to be if we let things go for too long.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, I saw this lovely nurse practitioner. His name's Cody. And it was so sweet and inspiring, because it was about my mental health, one, but also just like the other, just regular standard health things. And he just said to me, I'm totally holistic in the way that I think and do my practice. But he said, there is something just so good about modern medicine and the tools that they can be, the ways that they can help us. And I said, that is exactly what I needed to hear, because I'm in a place where I actually want to not be on it anymore. Like I'm, 3 years ago September was the 3-year mark of Buzz, my husband, passing. And so that, that's a good amount of time. And I've done a lot of work, and I feel like it's time to kind of start that conversation of what other ways can I take care of myself?
Yeah.
Like, yes, I need to have my prescription filled for my Zoloft, but let's begin the conversation of how can we wean off of that? And what are the other things that are going to be good for your life?
Right.
From a medical standpoint that can just help you in your journey.
Yeah.
So it was just a really inspiring, good conversation.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So nice when things just work out.
Yeah. Well, and that's exactly how it felt. And it's funny because, and this is, part of my journey has been because of who my husband was and just the legacy he left and the human that he was, because he had this platform in music and had a lot of success. I mean, I literally meet people every day who I've never met, but who totally know who he is. And that's what happened with Cody, the nurse practitioner. And it was just like, he literally started crying when I told him, because I said, I lost my husband 3 years ago, and I have 3 daughters, and we relocated from Los Angeles 2 years ago. And it's been really, really hard. And 5 months after he died, the pandemic hit, and then we moved across the country, and it's just been a lot.
Not had a break.
Yeah. But then just because Buzz was this, especially in Nashville in the music industry, just a public figure in a way, a celebrity, I guess, of sorts, in this world. And so for him to have the connection of knowing who this man was and then hearing me tell about my story and some of the details of what my journey has been was like, could just tell that
He wanted to help.
Yeah. And that it meant something to him. And I don't know. Anyway. Yeah.
Well, that's a pretty good day, I'd say.
So far, so good, ladies.
And then you got to come here.
I know.
It's better than that.
And I'm drinking a matcha.
All right, Sarah, you're up.
Yep.
Well, these are all this is just pages and pages of my check-in. I thought about my check-in a lot and just started crying every time. And maybe just being emotional, but I'm not gonna take that route, which really, maybe I will. You know what?
I think
This
it's
seems
gonna
like a good
I think it's
time.
gonna happen.
Let's see. Parker is, maybe you can cut this because I think I've covered it. But kids so he started a new school. God, shut up about the new school. We have got it that he started a new school. All the kids are most of them are a lot older, and seeing him, this is just general. Every time he has a struggle, then I'm hit with, oh, here's another thing that you need to work on in yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Every
It's
single
so fun.
time,
Mm-hmm.
which is good because it's
love
helpful.
working on myself non-stop.
Yeah. It's like, oh, here's another thing that just makes anyway.
New
Let's
triggers.
see. Kids are, new old triggers. Oh, right.
I forgot about you.
Yes. Hi.
Your banter is very funny, too.
Oh, actually, that's one check. Hey, that brings me to my point, which is something about this podcast is if people keep telling me that I'm funny, which occasionally, once every 2 months happens via the podcast, I would literally keep doing this.
For the rest of your life.
If one person says they thought one thing that I said was funny. Anyway, he's just if he's ever sad or he has a long day, and he's 3, he doesn't tell me exactly what happened, but he'll say so-and-so's a bad guy, or, oh, and I'm like, oh. Anyway, that's not this morning. Moving on.
Oh my gosh. You are funny.
I'm just,
Yeah,
I
said it.
Well, that's another couple of years in the bag. This morning, leaving for school, we've gone to a costume party. Today is costume day at school. Tomorrow is costume day at the other school. He will not put on a costume for anything. I've tried to bribe him, and I'm just going to say it. I sometimes will bribe him with a screen to do a thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's a shame. Like,
Yeah.
I'm going to throw up.
How dare you?
Anyway, that's a lot of guilt.
I've
So
never done that.
You don't have to.
No,
you don't
I've
have
never
to,
done that.
I don't
No,
think
not
any
once.
other mom has ever done that.
think-
It's only you.
I think it's just you.
It's just you.
You don't have to judge it because, like, if you could feel what I feel in my body saying that out loud,
You're
I'm just
judging
wanna,
yourself
Like,
enough.
crawl under the table and
Yeah.
Anyway, so that the hippie school is like breeding that out of him. And today I was like, if you will put on this football jersey, I will let you watch whatever on the way, like the 5-minute ride to school. And he was like, nope. And he wanted a pen and coloring stuff. And I was like, yep, that is good. And I still am really like way too frustrated that you're not going to put on this costume. And I was like, what am I worried about? Are you like trying to work through it in the moment? What's the problem? Am I worried that the other kids are going to have on costumes and you're going to be embarrassed that people
Right.
like,
and
and I
people are
still
going to
right
make
now,
fun of him if he's the only one not wearing a costume.
Yeah. I was like mad about it. And
Right.
and I still can't figure out like what exactly even, I guess it's that.
Well, I think as parents, we worry about so many of the possible outcomes. Like we're already anxious about something that might not even happen. And so because our kids are not, there's just an immediate, there's a clashing there of us just going, oh yeah, this is just another reminder that I just gotta let it go.
Yeah, let it go.
So
That's a good, you said, I don't know if you said that while we were recording, but you kind of sang let it go at the beginning, Jessie. And I was like, yeah. And like something that our couples therapist said has made me think, and I think of it like 10,000 times a day, which is every single choice I make is not the biggest deal in his entire life and isn't going to send him every single choice, because that's sometimes how I feel.
Okay.
Right.
And I'm like,
That's a lot to carry.
it is. It's too much. And that's silly. And so I'm like taking a big, which is crazy. I know that I don't know. It's like, I see that that's been happening. And now I'm going, that's way too much.
Right.
There's too many choices.
Well, but the older they get, the new situations are constantly going to be brought up and pushed on you, where you're going to have to, we're constantly reacting to who knows what.
Yeah.
Did you talk to his teacher or one of the teachers about just his adamant refusal to put on the costume?
Yeah. And she said,
What do they say? I mean, I'm
She
just
was great.
curious, like how she supported you, because that's what they're
thanks.
to do,
Yeah.
right?
So I don't know what the people tomorrow will do, obviously, but she today was like, no problem. She's awesome. And she was like, there's a kid upstairs already crying. And she had been texting, like, she's real casual. Like she texted like every parent in the class last night to say, listen, I totally forgot that we were doing trick or treat tomorrow. So I'm going to be able, she was at Walmart at like 6 a.m. and we all brought like stuff for them to trick or treat. So it's fine.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. And he's 3. And it's a good thing. It's growth. And I will say this, I did want to give myself credit that I laughed at myself in the moment when I was like, this is crazy. And I'm just like a little hungry now, so I'm extra anxious, but like I was fine this morning. I just want to say that.
It's all right. She's got apples right here to
You
snack
need a
on.
string cheese or something.
She'll start to calm down as the episode goes on.
I need a pouch.
I need a pouch.
a yogurt pouch. I'm telling you, it's the protein you need.
You know what?
That's what Cody just told her. She needed more protein. So
He did.
she's
I'm about to
probably
just go
passing it on.
house while y'all talk. Y'all don't know this that you're listening to, but I'm gonna walk out of the room and just house 7 string cheeses. You're right. It is protein that I need all the time. Anyway, so that's my check-in. Just an ever-evolving, like knockdown, drag-out battle with all
Yourself.
the anxiety in the entire world. And you know what? It's getting better. It's getting easier. It is getting better.
Well, and it's, it's still your first kid.
Yeah.
First kid is just,
They mess you up.
they mess you up, and
Those
I don't know if
first
it ever
kids.
stops. Like, I don't know what age the messing you up stops.
It gets
Because it's your
it gets
first-
easier because you're like, I can't
I can't.
give
I just
you
can't.
time. I can't.
I'm
I
literally
can't
out of
force you
things.
to do anything. Don't get any pets
Oh my God.
on top of it. Oh man, we just got a new
I
kitten,
don't think
and that
that'll
is
ever
like,
happen.
I'm like, why did I do that?
I just made a protein shake with straight city tap water so I could hurry. Just so you know. Okay. All right.
You should ask Cody about that.
Oof. Cody has no idea
How long was
Being
that
chatted
appointment?
how
about.
popular.
I mean, we were like, you want to just go get lunch?
Do you want to get married?
He's like, yeah.
Are you single? Let's
Joy?
see. Let's see. I just wrote down hair drama because that is a pretty constant struggle, is the brushing of the hair, how to teach your child how to properly brush their hair. And she just doesn't want my help. She doesn't want to learn how to do it properly, yet she also doesn't want to deal with the matted knots that she gets from not taking care of her hair.
We're talking about Ava, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I totally have a new understanding of my mom chopping all my hair off, like bowl cut chopping my hair off, which I think a lot of moms in our generation did that. But I get it. I'm like, I would consider that, just to not ever have to have this conversation ever again. And let's see, she's in a Taekwondo class, which has been really awesome. Like
Cool.
she's thriving in that environment. Like they have to say yes, sir, after everything he says. She's got to learn all these different combinations of things. They can all count to 10 in Korean already.
That's very cool.
Yeah, Jeremy usually takes her, but I got to take her yesterday. And it's one of those things where, parents, when you have to stay somewhere, when your kid's in a class, you can't really talk to other parents because it's pretty quiet. But like, no one's even really on their phone. It's just so fascinating to, like, you just don't want to take your eyes off of what they're doing.
That's awesome.
That is very awesome.
She loves it, and it's not crazy expensive, and it's close to home, and we get to pick which 2 days every week we want to bring her. So it's not even a set schedule. There's flexibility, which is really nice too.
And she meets other kids that way?
Yeah, and kids all different ages. So some kids she's can help kind of be a teacher with, and then there's also older kids that she can learn from. So it's really nice. I think she's going to get her yellow belt very soon.
Wow.
Anyway.
Do you call him sensei?
No.
Sir.
I think no. Yeah, they just say yes, sir. And then at the end, they have to turn and bow to all the parents and say, thank you for bringing me here.
Oh my gosh.
It's pretty cute.
That almost got me.
It's pretty cute.
Yeah.
I don't have anything to say about Penny, really. She's still super cute and learning like 40 new words a day, it seems. Just, what's that? What's that? What's that? What's that? What's that? And then for me, outside of kids, I just finished taking a 5-week writing class that teaches you how to write just one scene and all the elements that a scene is supposed to have. And so now that's fun. I have something like real. It looks like a real script that is mine.
That is awesome. What's it called?
I called it Clean Up on Register 3, or maybe Clean Up at Register 3.
That creates
It's a mom.
lot of images.
It's a mom in a grocery store. Very new mom in a grocery store.
Oh. What did she spill?
Herself.
Yeah. That's what I was.
Shout out.
Okay, that's my check-in. Jess, I did not say in my check-in how old the girls are. Will you tell everyone how old your girls are?
Yeah. My girls are, Ella is 11, Addie is 8, and Imogen is 4. I love their names, except because they all are kind of similar in a way. Like nobody in my house ever gets called the right name. And our dog's name is Billy. So we've got, Ella just recently decided to be called Ella. We were calling her Ellie, but she decided on Ella. So that's a good thing. But we had Ellie,
Billy,
Addie, Emmy, Jessie.
Wow.
I know. We're like, what did we do?
and now Cody.
Yeah. Oh, Cody.
Yeah, he's a part of your family.
He's important.
He's very important.
Yeah. He's part of, your structure.
Oh my gosh. This is going to save my life. Okay. So where should we start?
How long were you guys married before you had?
2 years.
Because you were already, how old were you when you guys got married?
I was 30.
So you guys were probably going to have kids decently.
Yeah. I knew that we wanted to go there fairly soon, but I had started an arts therapy program in the Bay Area the year after we got married. And I really wanted to finish that art therapy with an emphasis on movement. and
cool.
got a year through that. And actually at the very end of the first year, I found out I was pregnant. And I was sort of bummed because I knew that I just would have to press pause on it for quite a bit because we knew we didn't want to wait too long between having other kids. We knew that we didn't want to just have one.
Right.
But yeah, she was born September of 2011 and we got married July of 2009. We had bought our first house and, doing all the right adulting things.
Right.
Whatever that means. But things had started to really pick up in his career, and we felt more stable to be able to buy a home, and which is, it's not an easy thing to do in Los Angeles, but so we were really grateful to be able to do that before we had kids.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So you had your first kid in 2011.
Yep, 2011.
What happened next?
Gosh, I honestly, I feel like it's all a blur. We decided for me to be fully stay at home. Mm-hmm. I was still pursuing some acting at that point. I think I only had a commercial agent.
Was it hard for you did you battle that, the stay at home versus the losing your outlets or trying to keep your outlets?
Yeah. I mean, we had decided that once we did start having kids, that I would probably really scale back on kind of the pursuit of that career. So when I had her, I mean, honestly, I wasn't auditioning a ton anyway. And it really was at that point just commercial stuff. And which for me as an actress, as an artist, it was not fulfilling at all. Yeah. You're just like, I mean, literally, sometimes I would go to an audition and they just want to take a picture of your face, like with your eyes closed. And then you turn to the side and they want to see your profile. And that's it. So, yeah. So that was fine. So it felt very kind of natural and like fully what I should do is just like, this doesn't need to be the focus right now. Like,
let it go for now.
Let it go.
Let it go.
Yeah, so I just stayed home with Ella. I mean, it was so good for me in that time to be in my own home. Like I said, we had bought our first house and we had a beautiful park just down the road. So I would walk daily with her, even as a tiny baby. Gosh, and the neat thing was that I had a handful of close girlfriends that all had kids within like 5 months of me.
Great. That's awesome.
Game changer.
Yeah, I mean, so we just did baby together, like, and figured that out. And I would say, well, at least two of my girlfriends that I'm thinking of, it was their first as well, which is another thing. It's like. Going from 1 to 2 is it's a different thing because you've already been through it once. So just a lot of time at the park. I joined the Y, and so they have childcare, and that was amazing because I had 2 hours you could drop your kid off. Mm-hmm. And I would usually take a yoga class or do the treadmill for an hour, and then I would sit and read. There was a nice like outdoor patio. So that was good. That was life-giving. And then I just started to find other things. Like I went to a Bible study once a week, and they also had childcare. And so I feel like I kind of just learned to find.
Got in a groove.
Yeah, to find the groove that was good for me. And I cooked all the time. Buzz's studio was in the back. And so he was working out of the home, which had its challenges actually. But we did figure that part of our family life out. I cooked for a lot of songwriters and artists.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, it was fun. It was fun for me to give that to people because especially in LA, it's like so many of the people that Buzz was working with were so young. And so for them to be in a home with a family that has a baby was so weird and foreign to them, but so neat at the same time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so Addie then was born in 2014, early February. So yeah, I was just off to the races with the second. And it was just kind of the same thing. We were just in the groove of like, I am full-time mom. And I did end up getting a babysitter a couple days a week so I could have a chunk of time to just go run errands by myself or go get a massage every once in a while. Yeah.
Stare at a wall.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Actually, Joy just covered a couple of weeks ago something about the why, and I was wondering if Ella, when you would drop her off, was she cool with that, or did she struggle with that initially?
Initially, she definitely struggled. She was I don't know if colicky was really her thing, but she was very, very fussy. Mm-hmm. Definitely when she was first born, probably until about 5 months. And I mean, up until the time she was almost 2.5, the child would just scream every time I put her in the car seat. So there was it was traumatic to drive to the why.
Yeah.
Anyway, but we figured all of that out. We got through that. I mean, the seasons pass. They really do pass quickly. It's just when you're in it, especially if you have
day is just like that's the grind.
Yeah. Yeah. So at first, I would say for a good couple months, she cried a lot when I would drop her off. Most of the time, the babysitters or the workers in the childcare area would try to deal with it. Yeah. But I definitely got pulled from
your moment.
From my moments.
From your reading.
Times. But then it just became a place that she knew.
Yeah.
And then it was completely fine. And we would talk about it every time we would drive. I mean, I would just be like, this is mommy's time.
If you don't want mommy to hurt you, you need to give mommy her time.
We, Parker, we do like a process, like a hug. Well, not a process. Let me chill out again. But now it's like a hug and a pinky promise. I'll pick you up after school with apple juice and a snack, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
And if I forget the pinky promise, which I have like the last 3 times, he's like, oh, wait, can you hug me and pinky promise? And I'm like, okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Which is really cute.
Oh, it's so cute. Emmy and I have that. We do 3 kisses and then 3 hugs. And it is like magic.
Yeah.
It's just like she can flip where she's at if she's having a hard time after we do that. Like it's pretty good.
She your favorite?
Oh God, don't even go there. You have no idea what that word is like in my house.
Oh,
I mean,
gosh.
it's like a generational situation.
Yeah.
And my older 2 have been telling me.
Oh, I'm getting it from Ava.
Favorite.
Yeah, I get it from Ava all the time about Penny.
Yeah. Well, I was the baby, so.
Yeah, so you were the favorite.
I was everybody. Hey, moms. Pardon the interruption. Just wondering if you've ever found yourself like on a random Tuesday with nothing planned for dinner and a pit in your stomach, guilt that you're about to order pizza for the 7th time in 2 weeks. I've never done that. I'm just wondering if you've ever done that. Well, what if you could have something like, I don't know, handmade pasta, sauce, meatballs, ready to heat and serve in like 4 minutes? Then you should check out Mr. Aaron's Goods. It's really good. It's aptly named. I was looking and they have all the best versions of all the things, like these chips that are amazing, like potato chips, the best beans, the best cheese. Sometimes they have incredible lox, bagels that are handmade from scratch locally. All this stuff, like literally all the best things. It's family owned and operated. The whole thing could not be cuter. And for a limited time, Momcult listeners get 20% off their entire purchase. Just use code MOMCULT to checkout on MrAaronsGoods.com. That's MrAaronsGoods.com. They offer pickup Monday through Friday at TKO in East Nashville. Free delivery in East Nashville on Saturdays. Just use code MOMCULT on MrAaronsGoods.com and get the goods delivered right to your door. I mean, given that you live in the greater Nashville area, I'm sure they're going to expand beyond that soon, but you're shit out of luck if you're not here. Okay, thanks, guys.
When you found out you were pregnant with Emmy, what was going through your head?
Emmy the third. I just asked because we were just talking about Addie, and I just wanted to make sure you had the right name.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Well, I'm not quite sure how to answer that. Mostly because it's actually pretty personal. Like Buzz and I were in the roughest point in our marriage up to that time. And so I was shocked. And I jokingly say, I literally don't even know how it happened. But You know, when I found out, I really actually felt a deep sense of peace. That's the only way that I feel like I could describe it. Like it was just, she was supposed to be. And I don't put this on her. I would never tell any of my kids this story, but you know, after she was born, my friend Sheila was holding her. I mean, she was probably only about 2 months old. And she was my easiest baby. And she brought joy to people. Like to hold her was just, it was easy. To care for her was easy for me. And
which makes it a pleasure. It makes it be like, oh, I enjoy taking care of you.
Exactly.
It's easy.
And she, right. Well, absolutely. Yeah. And there's so much to learn from that and looking back at what it was like with the other two for me. You know what I mean? But back to my friend holding her, it was this moment because she was that for other people too. Like she everybody just wanted like a piece of her. And, it was a kind of a prophetic moment in a way. Sheila just looked at me. I was sitting next to her. She was holding Emmy. And she goes, gosh, this girl is like glue. And it was like, that also hit me in kind of a similar way that I felt the peace like in my spirit, like my gut when I found out I was pregnant. It was like, yeah. And I really do think that like God used it to like be, you know, let's keep together here. Like let's really do the hard work. And yeah, I struggle with that story honestly because it is obviously not her responsibility. Like it was not. I would never want
like
her
holding
to
her
feel.
to that.
Yes, I don't want to hold her to that. And so anyway, I don't know if that makes sense, but it's a thing with my kids that I'm so thankful that she came into our lives, that you know we were meant to be her parents, and that I did get pregnant in a time that was pretty tumultuous and really really difficult.
She beat the odds.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I felt like that with Penny for sure, just because of everything that was going on during my pregnancy. Her ultrasound photos, she always just had the most angry looking face, just scrunched up nose, just looked so pissed. But when I remember talking to Jeremy about, you know, you start trying to imagine like how this kid is going to be different than the one that you know.
Yeah.
And just a different version of a human that we're going to make. And I remember telling Jeremy, I said, I think she's just going to be so precious. The word precious was the only thing that I was like, I think she's just going to destroy us with how precious she is.
Yeah,
and
she is.
That is exactly what she does.
Yep.
But same idea of bringing this soul into the world that's just brings so much light, and that she did that at a really dark time was just beautiful, just poetic. How many years did Buzz get with Emmy before he passed?
Well, she turned 2 November 22nd, and he passed away September 28th.
Wild. How much time did you have between his diagnosis and his passing?
9 weeks and a day.
Jeez.
Wow.
I laugh because it's so sad. Yeah, I mean, so sort of the continuation of, you know, a difficult long season in our marriage that we really had gotten to the other side of. We both just felt so much hope, and we both were doing a lot of really, really hard work inside and out. I mean, had to do with exercise and therapy and, you know, a little bit better of a structured family time. That was a challenge for us to find in his career. But yeah, we were really on on a new trajectory, a new part of our journey as a couple, as a married couple, and then obviously as a family of 5. And, you know, I will say he was pretty depressed, even though there was like so much good that was coming out of all the work that we were doing. He was pretty depressed, and he couldn't really figure out why. So he was diving into that. He was actually looking into the possibility of some sort of medication to help with that, which he was very against that for so long. He personally didn't feel comfortable with going that route. And, oh gosh, I mean, we were celebrating our 10-year anniversary in July of 2019, and we always tried to do some sort of a trip, just he and I, for our anniversaries. And it was up in the air. We knew we wanted to do something a little bit more extravagant because it was 10. You know, it's a
Why not?
big number. And it was kind of up in the air because he had this work writing camp that he was trying to sort out doing. And so we ended up booking the trip pretty last minute. But the writing camp was in Cabo, and so it was perfect. I got to just fly to Cabo, and we stayed in a beautiful resort, and we were there 8 days. And
Nice.
yes, that was, I think I met him maybe the day after our anniversary. I can't remember, but we were there alone for 8 days. The girls were with my mom and stepdad, and we, because of the last minute booking, we had to fly separately. We landed at LAX around the same time, but we had to go through customs and all of that because we were in Mexico. And there was this period of time where I couldn't get a hold of him, which was not normal at all. Like, I mean, he was always very, very available on his phone. And it did concern me for a minute because it was like almost an hour where we couldn't reach each other. I mean, I feel like there are so many details that honestly don't really matter. What ended up happening is that he started to feel really, really sick. And when we were driving home, a friend of ours had come to pick us up. We were driving home in rush hour traffic on a Friday from LAX. And there just was clearly something really wrong. His speech was slurred. He was like kind of singing when he would speak. And he kept saying, do you guys smell that? Like I smell a chemical. Like I feel really sick. Like I feel like I'm going to throw up. But he also couldn't like communicate properly.
Right.
I just immediately knew there was something really, really wrong. And I texted actually our dear friends, our pastor and his wife, because I knew they would possibly be available to come help if needed. I just said, I think Buzz is having a stroke and we're going to go to the ER in Pasadena. And they dropped everything. And actually Terry came and met us there. And by the time we got to the ER, he couldn't walk. So I had to go. I had to go get a wheelchair, and finally we got him in, and he ended up having a grand mal seizure on the floor of the emergency room. And it was just awful and really, really scary and traumatic. And I mean, the emergency room was full. So all these people witnessed it. And, I was like, man, I was so in shock after that happened. I mean, they came out and they took him back and intubated him straight away because his body couldn't handle the seizure state. But I honestly had no idea if I was going to be walking back to him being gone then. But yeah, 3 days after that, he was, admitted to the ICU, and they took him off the life support about 24 hours after it happened, and it had several scans. And so they saw that there were masses on his brain. So we knew that had something to do with what had happened. And he had a biopsy, and then we got the diagnosis of glioblastoma, which is, it's terminal. There is no cure for that disease.
Are they able to gauge when they look at those scans? Are they able to say how long they think as far as the rate of growth of an average tumor, are they able to go, he's probably had these for X amount of years?
Yeah. Our first meeting with the oncologist at City of Hope, we chose to do treatment there because nobody would do surgery because the tumors were so big. And this type of cancer, the way that it grows, it digs. It's kind of like tentacles that dig into the tissue. And so when you do a surgery, you're removing brain tissue. So, and you know, that's part of like the reason why this disease is terminal. Like people can't survive when you're taking parts of their brain out, or a lot of times people become paralyzed or just become a completely different person. Sometimes they don't wake up and are just in a coma until you decide to take them off. And that was, I mean, we literally just through the graciousness of so many people in the music industry had connections with the best of the best of the best all over the world. And, you know, we did a real deep dive into what we thought was best to do for treatment or not, you know, because that was a choice as well, to not go through chemo and radiation. But the first day that we had our appointment with our oncologist, she pulled the scans up and she said, these tumors have been here for at least 10 years.
That's wild.
Which was, I mean, my whole marriage.
Yeah.
And it was just the depression. Did you say there were no headaches? Or I mean, like, not really?
No, not really.
Wow.
I mean, there were, I mean, I can look back on some of the struggles that we had and some of the personality things that were really difficult and go, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Because I've done a lot of research and it's crazy. It's sort of one of those things where it's like you buy a blue car and you see the same blue car everywhere.
Totally. Yeah.
When he got sick, it was like there were all these people coming through the woodwork that either knew someone or lost someone to glioblastoma. And I've heard many, many stories that have similar,
like, trajectory of things, even personality-wise, being difficult to deal with.
Yeah. And that was the biggest thing. There were some behavioral things that, you know, that were really, really challenging to work through.
Right.
And every relationship has that, right?
100%. Yes. Totally.
I feel like my story is
we all have tumors.
Right. I mean, and you know, but I tell people when I talk about our story, I just am like, I feel so blessed and fortunate that I can look back on the 10 years and the struggles that we did have and the life that we lived and go, things were really, really hard at times.
Yeah. Well, it also probably lets you not carry as much as resentment about those times. Because now you have something to go.
Yeah. Oh. I feel so lucky, blessed, all those things like that I can go, he was sick.
Yeah.
And, it's just, you know, every story is different. Every relationship is different. There's a piece of mine again that I do just feel so fortunate that I have that because it is healing for me. It helps me understand a lot about who he was and how I handled things, and I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So 10 years. It's pretty wild.
That's crazy.
And I think it wasn't just in our relationship that the tumor had its havoc, wreaked its havoc on. I mean, it definitely, I feel, affected the way that he fathered the girls. But I will tell you, as fast as it all went, it was like, you know, he knew he was not going to make it. We didn't know how long it was going to be. I mean, we believed for a miracle. We really did. We really did. We really had faith that was a possibility in our scenario. But in the 9 weeks that he was going through, he was sick and like really sick. And the seizure is what put the tumors on a different level. Like, I don't know how that really works. And then also with all the medications, the steroids and the things that he was on, as well as the chemo pills and the radiation, it was really, he just deteriorated really fast, but he was also so connected. He was so connected to God. And it was just like, he had a hard time really connecting with people face to face, but he would hold the girls and just speak words of life and love into their ears. And I feel like somehow in that short time frame, he almost like redeemed.
Mm-hmm. Any difficult stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we have this series of beautiful videos that our pastor Terry and our friend Miles
What's the first one
put together.
They'll watch?
Well, I actually just showed one to Ella last night about not comparing yourself to other people. Running your race. He gave the analogy of the runner in Chariots of Fire, how he was made fun of because he looked up. But he knew the end point, and he looked up to bask in the glory of God, and he didn't look to the right or to the left. And he just encouraged them to not play the comparison game.
Is she dealing with that right now? With like friends or school or? I told one of my best friends last night, actually, that I had just showed her that before bed. We were laying in bed just talking, and I showed her the video because I just felt prompted to share with her. And I didn't really know that there was anything specific, but she just started crying. One, because I think it just made her sad to see him. Mm-hmm. But two, because I think she just needed those words right then. And she's an artist, and she is so, like, she lives and breathes creativity. I don't know how else to describe it. And so school is kind of hard for her. It's hard to really focus on things she doesn't really care about. Right. And she also needs the stimulus of whatever it is, drawing or painting or something not movement just inside your head.
Right. Yeah. And she told me that she's felt that some of her classmates were being really hard on her because ultimately what they're trying to do is encourage her to focus and get the work done or listen or whatever it is, because she just doodles when there are lessons or things being taught or you're supposed to be working on a worksheet, but she doodles. And I think she has just a handful of friends like at her table that are being hard on her about it. Mm-hmm. And she's like, I just feel like they're judging me. She's like, I need to do this to be able to learn. And it's just how I am. And I feel like they're not, I'm paraphrasing this, but she said, I feel like they're not seeing me who I am.
They just want me to be like them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And man, these videos, I mean, there's one for each of the girls on their wedding day. Mm-hmm. There's several for me and friends and family, and it's a gift.
Yeah. An incredible gift to have enough time and for someone to have had the forethought to go, we need to get these, we need to get these done. These need to be a priority. Yeah.
And really the most important ones to me are for the girls. Yeah. Because we all got to live 43 years with him. I mean, I was only married to him for 10, but the other people that will see the videos, it's like they got to live more life with him.
Yeah.
And the girls didn't get to have a full life with their dad. And so I'm thankful that those got made and that he was lucid enough to be able to, I mean, he was so, like I said, connected. It was wild.
Yeah.
My brother passed away young also, and he left letters for his daughter, but it was sudden. He didn't know. He just had done that, preemptively. And those letters, one I think was on her 16th birthday, they're like milestone moments in her life. Like they make impacts beyond. So I can't imagine what a video would be like.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really special. It is. Mm-hmm.
Fast forwarding to after his passing and then deciding to move back here, you know, pandemic, all of those biggest like grief pockets. Now that you're kind of 3 years out of that, I'm just interested in how just motherhood, how that feels different, positive and negatives of doing it on your own now.
Yeah. You know, I just want to say we are good. We are really good. Since we've been in Nashville, I have felt like the girls and I have just been held. We've had some close friends from California that left around the same time that we did that are now living within minutes of us. So that's been huge. And yeah, the sweet home that we live in it's just beautiful. It's really inspiring. It feels really peaceful. And I just feel like God just sort of almost ushered us into this Nashville community. I mean, it has to do with music, but it also has to do with our church community and our school community. And it's just like, I feel like that verse in the Bible that talks about taking care of the widows and the orphans, like I have never wanted to feel like a victim. And so I've been really just prayerful about never feeling like people feel obligated to help out or do whatever. And it's just, so I say that because it's just everybody they just give to us. They give their time and they make me feel like I can call or text and they would be there at the drop of a hat. Like I just know that we have those people in our life. And so I want to just start out saying that. I mean, I'm blown away by that grace, like what that is for me and the girls. The hardest thing for me has been taking care of myself because obviously I have grief and trauma.
Probably just a little bit.
It's like
A smidge.
hey, can we? I'm gonna have an accident.
Yeah, I need to go to the bathroom too.
Go.
No, that's okay. I actually was thinking the same thing.
Oh my gosh, she's so funny. Yes, she is.
Hey, Momcult listener. I just got back from Mississippi, so this is going to be real country. Real quick, what would you think about knocking something off your to-do list while you take a 3-minute break? You can do that at Camel Express Car Wash. Close your eyes, black out the world while your car gets super clean. And you didn't hear it from me, but they offer this Camel Clean Car Guarantee where if you're not entirely satisfied with your wash, you can wash again for free. So technically you could get a 6-minute break. And today you can get that completely free because you listen to Momcult. For a limited time, Momcult listeners try their best wash free. Their best wash, a $25 value, free. All you do is text code MOMCULT to 30400 and try them out. Visit camelexpress.com to find your Camel today. Camel Express Car Wash, delivering the greatest car wash experience every single time.
Bringing it back to some sweetness, right?
Yeah.
A little laugh is good.
Have you been finding ways to get more of that in your day-to-day, taking care of yourself?
Definitely. I feel like in the beginning, we were all in such a fog and then the pandemic hit and I just was kind of coasting and that was okay, you know? And then ultimately when I decided to move here, I think because I really felt like I had landed, it had been a year after his passing that we moved. And I think because I felt grounded in this new home that I just knew that we were supposed to be in, it kind of allowed like me to fall apart a little bit. And I mean, what I've tried to hold on to as I parent the girls is just like, it is okay to not be okay.
Yeah.
It is okay to actually be really angry. I mean, like Addie, my middle, that was her thing. Like I feel like the one word that would describe how her grief played out was through her anger. And man, I mean, physical. She was physical with all of us. She would have these tantrums. I mean, and she was 7. She would have these tantrums that would just completely affect the entire house.
The whole
atmosphere of everything. And then, the ripple effects of that for sometimes days. The sweet, sweet thing just had no, you can't name why you're reacting when your sister just tells you no in this way, or why she would get so angry with me if I didn't do X, Y, or Z, but that was happening. I mean, and that's just one example with her. But I mean, I have enough, I think, awareness, but also just psychological background, with the studies that I did with art therapy and doing so many years of therapy myself.
Sure.
That I could see that there was a bigger something going on. And of course, it's attached to her grief. And I didn't do it well every time at all. Trust me, I lost my mind on that child.
Yeah.
Multiple times. But I would always come back with, I'm really sorry that I handled this the way that I did. And then just giving her validation that it's actually okay to feel what you're feeling, and trying to direct her in, like, maybe this has something to do with you being really sad inside.
Yeah.
Maybe that anger has, she was actually seeing a therapist. She and Ella were both seeing a therapist for about a year after we moved here. So I was getting tools and getting advice from the therapist too. But ultimately, just being able to be okay with big, big feelings and big, big responses is kind of the thing that I've had to learn.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say I've had to learn the hard way. I've just had to learn it.
Right.
Yeah.
Because our life has been hard for a period of time.
Yeah.
And again, that's just okay. But yeah, it's hard for me because I'm the type of personality that can see where we're going.
You're just like, can we just get there?
And I just want to skip the whole process, but that's not how life works, right? Then nobody learns anything anyway. And I mean, yeah. So I just think it's time has been the healer for us. And I know that grief will always be there for all 4 of us, and for his family and for my family.
I was going to say, if it wasn't now, they're going to learn. They're going to deal with deep grief at some point in their life.
They will have to face it at some point.
Yes.
Yeah, if it's not now.
Yeah. They're building such resilience they aren't even aware of.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be like,
they are so strong. They are so strong. And part of that is because of who Buzz and I are and were, If any of you knew, well, I know you guys both knew Buzz. He was a big
presence,
intense presence, in for better or for worse, like just a powerhouse of a human being. And they have that.
Yeah.
So
you mentioned Cody to bring it back.
She almost spit her drink out.
You mentioned that he had some thoughts maybe on what to do after medication for yourself. Do you have any?
I'm still recovering from the fact that you brought Cody back, because when we took the bathroom break, all I was thinking about was my new best friend, Cody. I don't know if anyone else is going to find this as funny as we do, but
Probably.
Okay. So what did he, ask the question one more time.
He gave you the advice, or you said you guys were talking about, when you were gabbing, you were talking about what you might do after medication to take care of yourself or to heal. And I wondered if you had gotten on any talking points, like what that would look like, or.
Yeah. Well, the goal is for me personally, my conviction is to be able to not need to be on medication. And I have felt like I've needed it over this last 3.5 years or whatever it's been. And yeah, we began the conversation of just, it's the whole body. It's the body, mind, spirit, emotions, and how all of that is tied. He basically said, let's get through the holidays, because there's
a lot of triggers.
A lot of triggers over the holidays, being with my family, probably being
the
with
girls
some of
getting
Buzz's
spoiled,
family.
getting out of routine.
All
no
the
school.
things and the stress and expectations of, having the perfect Christmas, because that's what our society tells us we need to do for our children, right?
Yeah.
So he said, let's get through the holidays and
We'll double your dosage through the holidays.
We'll crank it up and then
Crank it
we'll
up and
back
then
off.
we'll just cold turkey.
Yeah. Oh,
That's right?
Oh, and then let's see how hard you crash. So his suggestion was, because at the clinic that he works at, they do whole body assessment. So you get your hormones tested, you get your digestive and body biome looked at and figured out. So it just goes into diet and the type of exercise that is best for your body type and your emotions, and making sure your hormones are all functioning the way that they're supposed to. So, again, Cody, geez, he just was who I needed to talk to today, because he gave me 2 time frames that I just can think about and look forward to. It's like, yes, Jess, just get through the holidays.
Right. Doable. We're giving you doable chunks.
Yes, doable tasks, doable things. And I will say that kind of mindset has been a theme that has been really coming up lately for me, of if I know I need to do these 2 things today and don't look beyond.
Just look up, bro.
Yeah, just look up. Just
Keep
run
moving
your
forward.
race.
Well, I mean,
Da, da, da,
You know,
da, da.
Yes,
That's how it works.
exactly. Yeah, so through the holidays, and then we're gonna test my poop. We're gonna test my poop.
as one does.
That's really what you should have started with when she said, "What else did Cody tell you?"
Well,
You said, "Well, he's going to test my poop."
Step 1.
That's why you were thinking about him when you went to the bathroom.
Well,
That makes sense.
Sure.
Step 1, fecal study.
Anyway, that's right.
That should be the first step for anything.
Yeah. So, you know what? I think just to kind of wrap that up, it's I think about a lot is what they tell you on an airplane of if we crash, if we land in the ocean, put your mask on
Yeah.
before you put your kids on. And that's what's happening for me right now. And I don't necessarily think I fully failed at that in the last however many years. But I do know that as a mother, my job is to take care of myself first.
Yeah.
And that's a good place to start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have guilt involved in transitioning that, or because of the trauma, you're like, no, we have to live this way or else this is all falling apart? Because
Yeah. I mean, I think my answer would have been different 5 years ago.
right,
You know
right,
what I
yeah.
mean? Truly.
Yeah.
But because of how things have played out in my story, it's just no.
No, this is the way
If
it's gotta be.
you're going to be forced to do that at some point, right?
Yeah.
And yeah. Anyway,
Well, you're doing a real swell job. Real swell.
thanks, Joy, who I really haven't even seen in the last 2
Hey,
years.
you know what? Between COVID and the baby,
I get it.
those are 2 giant
I am joking.
facets. I know.
The good
but
thing about your friendship is I really haven't seen you in almost 2 years.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't feel like that at
you
all.
lived in LA for so long,
Yeah.
or in California for so long, that I got used to a long time ago, used to not physically seeing you.
Yeah.
But I definitely, after the holidays,
It's going to be a real busy couple of months. I don't really know.
You should call
no.
Cody too.
I should call Cody. Thank you so much for being here today. I love you. Thank you for being vulnerable and sharing your story with us.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you,
Thank you.
ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, wait, what I'm blanking if that's from.
You've got mail.
Yes. Oh, so good. I'll never get tired of that movie.
Maybe I'll have to watch that tonight.
Ooh.
You've seen.
Yeah. Watch it again.
Okay. No. I've watched it like 10,000 times. I just wanted to be
Like,
sure.
oh, good God, we're going to have to throw all this away.